Hey, good morning. Dr. Sean J. Harris here. And I want to talk to you guys today about a few leveraging tools that you can use to help build generational wealth. My purpose for being here in Generational Wealth Academy, Genius Speaker Academy, is to be able to talk about different ways to grow your income and to be able to create generational wealth, because it's one thing that we create wealth or start accumulating money in this lifetime, but we got to be able to pass it down to generation after generation. So my aim is to be able to show you just different techniques, different strategies. Some may work well for you, some may not work well for you. Just find the best fit for you and your financial needs for your family. So I want to talk to you about auctions. A lot of times people hear about auctions, but they don't really take advantage of them or know how to take advantage of them. And you have various different types of auctions. You have real estate auctions, you have property auctions, physical property, you have car auctions, machine auctions, you name it, even animal auctions, as far as like horses and stuff like that. So here's how it can benefit you. I shared a story many times before about how I had a buddy of mine who asked me, he said, "Hey, look, Sean, how much money do you have right now in your pocket?" I remember I had $100. He said, "Let's go make some money." I was like, "Hey, let's go." So he took me to an auto auction, and when I got there, I was like, "Look, I cannot buy a car for $100. He said, "Trust me, let's go." So we got there, and lo and behold, I actually bought a 1983 Honda Accord for $60. What I did was I took that car, and at that time we didn't have cell phone technology like we do now with nice fancy cameras and you can download. So I had this camera that actually had a disc that you put in it, that little hard plastic disc. So I took pictures of it, I came home and I put it on eBay Motors at that time. And what it did was it sold that day for $120. So I doubled my money, okay? So the cool thing about that is that you had 7 days to pick up the vehicle. So I leveraged their property and it became my auto auction car lot. So I could leave the car there for 7 days. So a person came and picked the car the very next day. I got the money, and what I did was I went back to the auction like a couple of days later and I bought another car. I think the second car was like a Mitsubishi Mirage or something like that. I bought it for like $120 or something like that. And what I did was I doubled that money and sold it for like $300. So that took $300, and I remember I bought a Q45, which back then Q45 was a hot vehicle. So I leveraged that, sold that for like $600, bought another Q45, sold that one for like $1,200, and there was another Q45. They had 3 in a row, and I vowed that I was going to get all 3 of them within that week. So the third one, I was able to sell that one for like $2,500 because it was a limited edition. It was called Eggplant Blue, which was like a metallic bluish purple color with white leather interior. So I sold that, and then subsequently I started getting into bigger, higher end cars. So within about 3 months, I was able to start acquiring Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, and it continued growing. But remember, I never came out the pocket with any additional money. This was the same $60 that I used in the very beginning. I just kept turning the money and letting it work for itself. So it's kind of like the axiom about how many apple trees are in one apple seed. So again, you have an apple, you have 3 or 4 seeds, but each seed can grow trees that can bear more apples with more seeds in them. So it's the same thing with growing your money. You do the same thing with property auctions, whether commercial or residential, same process works. Military auctions, that's a really big one. There's a really cool military website that I look at quite often. They got some of the coolest stuff on that website. Things that you can leverage that you wouldn't think that you could. You guys remember last week I did a teaching about being able to acquire a bulldozer for like $60,000, and after 86 days at renting it for $700 a day, it would pay for itself. Same thing here. On this website, you can buy tractors, you can buy school buses, you can buy tractor trailers, farm equipment, you name it. As a matter of fact, something I've just been kind of eyeing a little bit. A lot of you guys know I like big SUVs. I'm a Hummer owner, but there's military Hummers on there. There's one in particular I just looked at this morning. It was like $4,000. Now that same Hummer, once it's painted, do a little detailing to it, can sell for $150,000 out here in the civilian sector all day long. So things like that, you got to be able to just to leverage things. So am I going to fix the truck myself? Am I going to paint the truck? Of course I'm going to pay somebody to do this. But again, if I can take $5,000 and turn this into $25,000, $30,000, $80,000 by having the vehicle rehabbed, dude, that is a great return on investment, particularly if it only took me a month to turn the vehicle around. So again, that's a tool that you can use to leverage. Another amazing tool that you have to check with your particular county, state, your jurisdiction, and municipality, but land banks. Land banks are phenomenal because what land banks are in any community, let's say in your own particular area, you could have a blotted property, or you can have a subdivision that just has overgrown weeds. Well, there's a thing called land banks where the county doesn't want that eyesore, so they will allow you to acquire it for pennies on the dollar and sometimes even free. Here I'm in Atlanta, Georgia area. We have most of our counties here in the local metropolitan area. They have what's called land banks. So what you can do is you can go on the website, and let's say there's a house on the corner, it has kudzu and weeds and everything is kind of overgrown. Well, the county will allow you to buy that property. It could even be for like $500, $1,500, and you acquire the property. The only stipulation that they require typically is that you must get it curb appeal satisfactory within a certain amount of time. So they may tell you, hey, you got to get it up to par within 30, 60, 90 days. And the only other thing is you have to keep the property in your name titled for 6 years. That's what it is here in the Atlanta metro area. So wherever you are, it can be different time limits that you have to hold on to the property, which that's still a great thing because you can do whatever it is you want to do with the property. Some of the things that we're looking to do to expand our home healthcare company is using some of those properties to have in-home nursing care facilities for veterans. So again, if we acquire a property for a couple hundred or a few $1,000s, but we can turn this into a medical facility that can generate unlimited amounts of money in the medical field, again, that's a tool of leverage. Some other things you can leverage is your 401ks. A lot of times, we put our money in a 401k and we just let it sit there for 20, 30, 40 years until we retire. And yeah, you may have a nice little penny at the end, but you had to wait 40 years to collect. Well, sometimes it may be beneficial for you financially to pull some of that money out and have it start working for you and leverage that and start buying some of the assets that we just talked about. Investing in some land banks, property or equipment that can be income producing assets. Another thing you can take advantage of is, as I always talk about, insurance companies. Be able to leverage whole life insurance products and convert it and use it in private family banking systems where you are your own family's bank. Because when you buy stuff, whether it's a house, a car, any big ticket item, there's interest attached. And when you purchase that item, the interest goes back to the bank or the institution in which you took the loan. But if you have your own banking system, being able to leverage insurance, now you can borrow from yourself, from your own bank through your policy. And when you pay it back, it goes back into your family bank as well as the interest. So if any of you guys that are homeowners, you know that when you buy a house, if you go to 30-year term, you're going to be paying back 2 to 2.5 times the amount of the house in the first place. So imagine all that interest going back into your account. That's how you accrue wealth. So you got to be able to redirect interest back into your pockets. And you do that through leveraging insurance policies and building private family banking systems. And one other thing too I want to throw out there is IP. Figure out what type of IP you can create. IP is intellectual property. Intellectual property are things like books, music, art, certain things that are creative, what I call creative mind money. So look into certain things like that because I'm on book number 36 now that I've written. I write the book one time, but it can continue selling over and over and over. And my great-grandchildren can sell that same product over and over and over. Think of some of the greatest books out there like The Magic of Thinking Big. These books were written over a century ago, but they still sell, they're still relevant. So you have to just take a time and do a self-assessment and an audit on what you can do to be able to leverage what you already have in place and to be able to create income, and then income that can grow into becoming generational income. So guys, I've given you a lot of information there. I know it's a great value add, but most importantly, just figure out what it is that you can do to leverage and start creating generational wealth for yourselves. So guys, time is running out. As of today, there's only 304 days left to achieve your 2022 goals. The clock is ticking, time is running out. Let's go.